Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, a fistful of sandfire, sea, lavender, see you next year.
Thanks for listening to the September episode of the Deepdale Podcast. I'm Jason, and I've loved putting together this 3-part podcast chatting to so many amazing artists who are joining us at Deepdale Festival 2022. This is part 2, and I chat with the Secret Helicopters, aka Matt Watson, Dove and Boweevil, the Gillies, Bertie, the Smokin Pilchards, and Pavey Ark. Each band has let us play a sample of a chosen track, so big thank you to them all. We hope you'll come and join us at Deepdale Festival 2022 from Thursday the 22nd to Sunday the 25th of September. You can find the full programme and ticket information on deepdalefestival.co.uk. Enjoy the listen and come back for parts 1 and 3 and the other episodes of Deepdale Podcast. So I'm chatting to Matt Watson, and he is listed on the festival programme as the Secret Helicopters, which I'm hoping he's going to explain shortly, because that means nothing to me. Matt has been to Deepdale a few times over the years, and it's going to be great to welcome you back. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. I'm all right. Thank you. Yeah. A name change. I'll explain that in a bit. But yeah, I'm really excited, actually. Just because the fact that I'm on the same bill on the same day as Wildwood Kin and Catherine Williams, who I admire greatly. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
I think Chris is really quite chuffed with his lineup. I have to say,
it should be. Every single day is just an amazing lineup. So.
Yeah, we saw Wildwood Kin in the Waterfront a few years ago, and I said to Chris, let's go and say hello to them. They were signing albums at the back at the end. And I said to them, you wouldn't be interested in playing a Deepdale, would you? In our barn. And they said, oh yeah, that'd be lovely, and gave us an email address. And awesome. It sort of just went from there, really. And Chris got in touch with them, and it just sort of fitted with their tour schedule. So very exciting. So
yeah, and seeing Catherine Williams as well was kind of like, oh wow. So I've been aware of Catherine's music for years. And it was like, oh, that's brilliant. I always really admired her voice and her songwriting as well. So it was kind of like, wow. Pinch myself moment. I've been very blessed with those kind of moments of playing with people that I admire. So
that's very cool. So how has the creative process been over the interesting times? Have you found it a positive because you've had time where you've just had to do stuff, or have you found it difficult because there hasn't been inspiration?
It's been, well, I don't want to say, hey, pandemic's been great, but in many ways it was I took an opportunity, and I took advantage of that whole period of time. I did a music degree, so I did a BA in popular music while we were on lockdown. Which kind of enabled me to actually be more creative than I've been in a long while. So my creative process was, I guess I was more known for being a more folky, acoustic, rootsy artist. And but I've always had a love for things like synthesizers and drum machines and electric guitars too. And I kind of decided, actually, I'm going to throw caution to the wind and just make what I like. Rather than having these demos and things sitting around that I felt, they don't fit the Matt Watson thing, I kind of went, okay, if I renamed it something else, then I can just play Matt Watson music, play Secret Helicopters music, and just have it all under that umbrella. It gave it a new kind of lease of life, really. It's really exciting.
So what is the story behind the Secret Helicopters?
Well, first of all, it was just a bunch of demos and ideas that I had. Like I say, playing around with samplers and drum machines and guitar effects. And I've got all this stuff. I thought I'd start unpacking it and looking at it, going, I need to use this more. And I found myself with an album's worth of material that ranged from indie rock to folk to hip hop. I got played on Amazing Radio's dance show, which was something I never thought I would get played on. Sampling. So I was looking at Border Canada and listening to the bands like that. And just sort of going, okay, I'll put it out as the Secret Helicopters, just for fun, because it was a lockdown project thing. The Secret Helicopters came from a couple of places, the name. It was the fact that I'm a big fan of a band called Soul Coughing, who were a band in the 90s, again, used to mix jazz, hip hop, and kind of rock together. And they had a song on the X-Files, of all things, called Unmarked Helicopters. But I also put out the project initially without saying it was me. So I just put it up on BBC Introducing and stuff as keeping it secret. So the Secret Helicopters. It was just as silly as that, really.
There you go.
And it just sounded like a cool name. And I Googled the Secret Helicopters and no other bands came up, because there's actually other Matt Watsons that make music. There's a guy that makes country music in America and all sorts of things. It gets very confusing. So I was like, actually, I'm going to be the Secret Helicopters. And I did keep it secret for a while. I put a profile up on BBC Introducing and stuff like that, and they didn't know it was me.
Very cool. Excellent.
And then I thought, actually,
there you go. Explains everything.
Yeah.
Explains everything. That's great. Excellent. And so you're saying that you've been doing, sort of, courses and stuff. Are you, have you been gigging a lot, or is this, is Deepdale a kind of return to the stage and a sort of first outing for the Secret Helicopters?
This is the second outing this year. I played a gig in Camden alongside a hip hop collective.
Of course. Yeah, that's not where I would have put you in the bill previously. So this is going to be really interesting.
I even joined them on stage playing guitar. We did an improvised jam where I played guitar and we had a drum machine and stuff going. And they all took it in turns to just freestyle hip hop rapping, and it was fantastic. It's up on YouTube somewhere. So that was exciting, but it was great because they sat and I was on before them, and they sat and they listened to the mix of stuff I was doing. I started using drum loops occasionally alongside the guitar and vocals. The trouble was, of course, is that getting a band together was going to be impossible when I started this. And I thought, how am I going to deliver some of this stuff? Some of it worked. Some of it, if I could strip it back to an acoustic guitar and the song still stood up, I knew I could perform it. So that's what's happened with some of it. But there's some drum loops and some little bits of samples and stuff. So I'm bringing a laptop. So it's kind of like one guy on a guitar, drum machine / laptop, with some samples and stuff, just to add some different sonics and some rhythm. And some of it you can dance to, shuffle your feet around. So, it's a little bit different, but I've revisited some of my older solo songs and rejigged them slightly with drum loops and things like that.
Cool.
And I'm working on an EP at the moment, actually, which is called Drum Machine, Voice and Guitar, which is based around reworking songs with only allowing myself to use those three elements.
Yeah.
So that's in the progress as well. But yeah, it's still Matt Watson. Matt Watson is the Secret Helicopters, is what I say, and the Secret Helicopters is Matt Watson. It's a kind of crossover thing, but there's a lot of new material that will be played this time.
Great.
And a couple of
fantastic
old favorites, of course.
Superb. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you playing on Sunday in the Brick Barn. That's going to be fantastic. Yeah, and it'll be a fab weekend. And we look forward to you joining what will be an amazing lineup.
I've been shouting to everyone saying you're the best festival in North Norfolk, if not East Anglia.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's very kind.
Run by yourselves, fantastic people. Always been really kind to me, and it's just got a natural happy feel to the place that I just love coming every time. So
that's cool. Excellent. And if you wanted us to play a track, what would you say we should play?
Oh, now there's a question. Without having the CD on me, I would say one of the tracks from the latest EP that I put out a couple of months ago. Let's say either La La Land or Hello World. I would say those are my two favourite ones off that EP at the moment.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you, man. Nice to talk to you.
Oh, thanks you.
And we'll see you in what is just 2 or in a bit short weeks. It's quite scary, really.
Yeah, I'm starting to rehearse. I'm actually rehearsing. I used to not, but I actually have to now. It's because of the technology.
Because of the tech. There you go. Well, lovely to see you, man, and keep well, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.
I'm chatting with Lauren and Mark of Dove and Boweevil, which I'm going to get you to explain in a minute because I want to know where that name comes from. Then they're shaking their heads already. And they are playing on Saturday in the Brick Barn at Deepdale Festival. Really looking forward to having you guys back at Deepdale. It's been a little while since we saw you last. How are you? How have you been?
We're good, actually. Yeah. Yeah. You've been pretty busy. I've had a baby, so I've not been as well. I've been busy other ways.
That's quite busy. Yeah.
And yeah, we're looking forward to a few gigs in September. So we've kind of been quite choosy, I guess, with our gigs.
Oh, we feel very honoured. That's very good to hear. That's good to hear. Good to know Chris's powers of persuasion are still as good as ever. So that's good. Excellent. And have you? Do you guys live together? No. So
he's not my father.
I just wondered because you're sitting there together in the kitchen and just sort of like
Dad is upstairs with the baby.
Very sensible. So I'm fascinated to know how the creative process has worked while bands are separated in different houses and away from each other.
No, not that creative way, but I don't know really. I think for me anyway, the pandemic, it was a weird one. I thought, when I've got all this time, I'll have all this time to write songs, and it was quite odd to not feel creative so much. But I'd say since having Emmett, then I felt, because I've been so busy doing other stuff, I'm more likely to think of songs, which is a really weird thing to think of a song when you're changing a nappy, but it seems to have happened.
So you've got sort of notebooks by the nappy station and, in the change bag when you're out and all sorts of stuff like that.
When you're kind of busy doing something else, I think that's when you're more creative. Like when you're driving, like that's when I'm thinking of songs and things. And I think in pandemic, I saw this time to think, and for me that was just, I don't know, I find it quite difficult to think of songs during the actual pandemic, and as we came out of it, it's really odd. How about you?
Well, I think when the pandemic happened, you didn't know when it was going to end, and you thought, well, what's the point in writing anything if I might not gig again? You couldn't see when things are going to open. Is that a bit heavy? Sorry. Yeah.
No, but I get that. I get that. I think I think the thing is, what's clear is that there's been no.
We're a blues band, by the
way. Yeah. So everything's depressing. Yeah. No, I think, but there's no one answer to how the pandemic affected people. That's the thing. I think it's fascinating how it's impacted. And I think what will be really interesting is in 10, 15, 20 years time, when people look back at that 2 years, 3 years, kind of like the impact, what impact it's had on popular culture right across the board, from music and films and TV. And clearly there'll be films and TV and stuff like that, but I think the more interesting one for me is how songwriting and stuff has changed and edited and adjusted, and how people's techniques as well, there's a lot of bands that I'm chatting to who were able to write stuff over Zoom, and if you'd said to them, you won't be allowed to get together in a room and just jam away and try and piece stuff together, they would have thought you were insane. But actually it's quite interesting how we found ways to do things when even when we kind of just haven't had the opportunity.
Now you said it, I remember that we did actually do a music video in lockdown, and there's so many, all the music videos that were made in lockdown, because we all have white bed sheets. And I think I even bought a lime green bed sheet for a green screen.
Fantastic.
I remember so we did cell phone with the whole band, and I learnt video editing. So and that's I forgot about that. Yeah, we did create. That's good. So, but it was all different things, like video editing, and then trying to get the band to film themselves and like try and get dressed for the video.
Or at least the top half, at least the top half, yeah.
One of the band members is in his dressing gown. I was like, well, that's fine.
Excellent. So you're going to have to explain, how did Dove and Boweevil come about?
Well, what did we originally go out as?
Well,
it wasn't.
It was just Lauren and Mark. So that's how we started, and then whenever I should have kept it that way in hindsight, the Lauren Dove band. But I'm joking. And I think we kept turning up to like acoustic nights, and they'd always say, and now Lauren Dove and Mark Howells. They'd never say Mark's name. I don't know if it was, So we thought, we've got to come up with a duo name. And we just at the time, we wanted something quite bluesy. And a Boweevil is a little bug that scurries around.
Yeah.
So if you've ever seen Mark driving around in his Micra, there you go.
It's not very fun.
Well, it's a lot worse. It's a lot better than it could have been. The fact that it's you driving around in your Micra, that I would take that. So.
And I got called Dave again the other day. I'm like, again, this happened a lot when we first started. It happened. Dave. The worst, the funniest was we played a gig where the venue called us Doug and Boweevil, and literally some emo kids were expecting a very different band, and then we started literally their floppy head kind of they walked out. We were not Doug and Boweevil.
That's great. Yeah, that's very good. And are you back? So you're being selective with gigs because you've got another person to think about other than just getting your band members there. So you haven't. I was talking to one of the other bands with a baby, and they were saying that they're going to have to try out the papoose and a guitar. So that's going to be fascinating to see how that works. I don't think at Deepdale Festival, but at another event. You haven't quite been tempted with that process yet.
Well, I don't know what it is. What is it?
What's a papoose? It's like a so you kind of the thing that holds the baby in place so it can kind of sleep against your back or your chest.
I mean, I would do it, but it kind of gets in the way of the strings.
I would do it, but I was fortunate to be blessed with a very big baby. He's 11 kilograms.
Oh my word! Okay, yeah.
I can't carry him. I've got a backpack for him, so I could do that. We could try that. Yeah. We can go in the backpack, but the sling didn't last very long because it's just like it's either that or just crawling. He's not crawling; he's just big. So I have seen it though. I've seen other singers do it. And he's very chill. He's not a big crier, touch wood. So, so there's potential.
We'll have that repeat conversation in about a year's time and see whether anything's changed. Yeah. Excellent.
I think that's why it's quite nice I'll be able to bring him to Deepdale. And in terms of being choosy, I mean, I think the pandemic kind of highlighted the gigs that we do pick, because especially with everything, the price of everything going up, there's only so limited gigs. Like, if you go to, if a gig's so far and you're out the house for 5 or 6 hours and you're getting paid petrol money, and I'm leaving my other half for like 5 or 6 hours with Emmett. It's like, I have to be quite, kind of decide how long I want to be out the house for and leaving him. Yeah. So my hat goes off because we've got friends of ours who are touring and with 1-year-olds. It's like, oh my God, we'll get there.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of everybody's circumstances are slightly different, and what you choose to do and how it's going to work. So yeah, that's cool. And I always ask this question: if you were kind enough to let us play a kind of a bit of a sample of one of your tracks, what would you choose?
So silence. Don't have silence on the podcast.
Sorry, we can cut the silence out.
You want to be old school? East Coast, because we don't play it. We haven't played East Coast for a while, but it's 7 minutes long. Or do you want to Let's Fly? Yeah, Let's Fly. We've changed our mind. Let's Fly, which is
okay. That's cool. It'll only be a sample, so don't worry. You can go for the 7-minute track if you want to, but they may not get the full aspects of it.
So we filmed this video in lockdown. Because it's just me. And it's more of a soul one, and our kind of earlier stuff is more bluesy. So this is Let's Fly is a nice one.
And I'd love to know. Okay, so you said blues there and soul. I've always wondered where the boundary is. Like it must be almost impossible when someone goes, "Oh, I'm a soul band" or "I'm a blues band." Some are clearly those, but like there's such a crossover, isn't there?
Yeah, I think when you're playing the music, you just play it, but it's when it's the audience members that go, well, they're not blues. It's usually, it's more the listener, I think, has to know what genre, but we're just greedy. So it's all one big gumbo pot, really. Gospel, blues, funk, soul, jazz, it kind of all goes together.
Fantastic. Well, I know people are looking forward to seeing you on stage at Deepdale, so it's going to be lovely to welcome you back. And, thank you for joining us again. It's going to be fantastic.
Tonight.
Whoa, yeah, let's fly. Whoa, yeah, let's fly. Time is passing by. Gotta take a chance and fly. Time is passing by. Gotta take a chance and fly. You could see your ability, but you look the other way, floating on when the wind changed too.
So I'm chatting to the Gillies. They are coming along to Deepdale Festival. They're playing on Thursday evening as the first band of the festival in the Brick Barn. So that will be fantastic. So lots of people will be very excited about seeing you. And then you're playing in the Orchard on the Friday. So thanks for joining me. And tell me a bit about yourselves. How'd you get into music? How's it all going?
Well, it's good. Yeah, it's good to be back playing. Definitely. And yeah, we sort of we've been playing together for a long time in different bands beforehand. We originally came from Norwich, so we were in bands up in Norwich, and then we moved down to London and eventually got together and started playing together again and writing music a few years ago.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we haven't been doing what we're doing for a long time, have we?
we haven't been doing what we're doing. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we were in sort of like punk bands and stuff, weren't you? And new romantic bands.
Yeah. So now we're sort of doing nice, sort of gentle, slightly dark,
Sort of
Americana, folky sort of acoustic music.
That's quite a change to punk.
Just got but then it still has little elements, you know.
Yeah.
So so
only
good.
sonically.
Sort of the dark lyrics are fairly similar, aren't they? In many ways.
Same, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. Excellent. And you know, did you find the lockdown periods creatively good or creatively immensely frustrating?
Well, I think just before lockdown, we've been doing lots of gigs. We'd been to Germany, done this lovely little tour, and Vienna and Berlin. So we'd been playing. We're thinking, oh yeah, this is great. Then lockdown, and suddenly we were making mosaics for the garden, not actually doing any music. So it was really sort of a still time, and we did a couple of podcasty things to start with, which people would have as show reel video things on different groups, and then we did actually in the end a place local to us, Crystal Palace, set up sort of like every Saturday, like a little mini festival. So you sort of would get to do sort of 20 minutes worth of songs every week, and that was really actually probably
it was a lifeline. Really.
It was a lifeline. You realise how
good,
much it was a lifeline, because it was really quite hard just to do very much when, you know, I don't know, it just everything went still.
It was not a good time. We weren't very creative.
We were not very creative. No,
we did write some stuff.
Yeah,
and actually, we recorded some stuff because we were finishing off an album, weren't we?
Yes.
And we had to do that over Zoom and everything, and that wasn't so easy, was it?
And that was quite hard. And I think we did finish sort of, I think, I can't even remember the date we finished it, but anyway, we finished the album, which was quite a mammoth thing with it was like more of a full band album compared to how we are live. And then we had to try and find a way to promote it. Not that easy in lockdown. So we got in our camper van, drove to any venue and said, right, 1 5-minute take of each song in different places across London. And that's what we did, to the extent of one was, we did it in a B&Q car park late at night, and it started to rain and the wind was blowing the microphone and we were moving along. But we thought, do you know, this is what is actually quite good fun. And they're on our YouTube channel. So it's quite good because they're just us just playing, unplugged. And so that was, but that was an exciting bit. But I think the initial bit was a bit, oh my goodness.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And are you, have you had quite a lot of gigs this summer? Is it sort of back to normal-ish now?
Ish. We have done quite a lot of gigs actually. We've done a few festivals. We did Hope Festival and Maverick and Wayfest, and then we're doing Deepdale, which is great. And we've got so the gigs have started coming back, which is good, and they're different. Whereas before we'd sort of be part of a showcase thing, but because the guy decided it wasn't a good thing, wasn't viable in the same way as it was before. So that's sort of our local gigs tended to sort of go down a bit, and we ended up driving to Bracknell to do some gigs and stuff like that. So it's been
broadening the audience in a way.
Broadening our
that's local, but of course petrol's gone up and that's not really helped, does it?
It's sort of like you if people are desperate to go out and see live music, but then you can't actually get the artists there because they can't afford to make it because
exactly.
And it's sort of, I don't know what it is. It's just the last few years have been like, it felt like just like every time there's a positive, somebody's gone, oh no, we can't have that. We better come up with a negative for it. Oh, for God's sake, let's just get back to what we love, which is live music and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to running. Last year's festival was mind-bogglingly stressful before we started, but getting through the event and creating the event, and it was just fabulous. And to see how excited people were to see live music, and actually to see artists so excited to have a live audience. So, it was sort of that combination of the two things. And so this year I'm hoping it'll be less stressful with the prep, but that there'll still be that sense of just really happy that it's it's happening and it's developing. So we'll see where it goes. But
no, we're really excited because we played at Deepdale a long time ago, and we never got to come back until now. And I just thought, I'll just message Chris again. He went, yeah, no, love to have you back. I thought, great, that's good. It's just like exciting, especially at the end of summer, sort of, going into sort of the autumn. It's a really nice time to do something. I think it's really good.
Yeah, get started back doing things again. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Well, lovely to speak to you guys. If I play a track of yours, what would you like me to choose?
Well, I guess probably something like maybe Lightbulbs and Chemicals, because that's just us, most sounding more acoustic on the album. The rest has just got drums and electric guitars on it. So that's more how we will probably we will be sounding on the day. So either Lightbulbs and Chemicals or Masonry Nails.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Excellent. Well, I will endeavour to find one of those and get that on there. That'd be great. So, lovely to speak to you, and really look forward to seeing you in what is just a couple of short weeks away, really.
I know. Exciting.
It's going to be great.
We're practicing hard.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Well, keep well, guys, and thanks again for talking to me.
Thanks ever so much, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
1, 2, 3, 4. Lightbulbs and chemicals wreck my brain, and I kept thinking of you again. How you swore down the memories that rattled in your head, but you're still holding me all this time. I'm still sitting in cluttered, dusty living rooms with Madonnas and rusted chains.
I'm chatting with Bertie, and she is playing on Sunday in St Mary's Church. And as she's mentioned, she's doing her Poppyland. How would you describe Poppyland session or Poppyland songs, which are inspired by the local area, the Poppyland area? Yes.
Yeah, so the very original inspiration actually came from some journals that were found in the house where I grew up. So I grew up in Side Strand, which is a sort of blink and you'll miss it village, or right on the coast road after you leave Overstrand, which is slightly more well known. And there's hardly any houses there. And I grew up in a house, and I think it was my grandmother, just before we moved in, she found these journals that had belonged to my great aunt who had previously lived there. And she basically, back in about between 1912 and 1914, she had gone out and sort of interviewed, I don't know, that's too strong a word, chatted to her neighbours, who were all at that time old farmers. Like the people she spoke to the most was this couple called John and Alvina, and he was in his 80s, and he was so he was a proper Victorian farmer, and she just recorded everything they said, quite phonetically often as well. So often it's like written almost in North Norfolk dialect. And so these notebooks are filled with stories, lyrics to songs, and sort of lists of field names, just all this kind of information. And this, I was shown these a few years back, and it really, the thing that stuck out to me the most were obviously the lyrics of songs, of being a musician. And the first set of lyrics were a song called "Let No One Steal Your Time," which I don't know how much you know your traditional folk music, but it turned out that was quite a traditional song and well known at a point in history. And so I was able to find the music for that, so that was great. But then I was looking through all these other lyrics and couldn't the extent of my research being mostly Google, but I was asking people who are folk musicians and couldn't find any of the melodies to some of these other songs. So I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll put them to music myself. So that sort of started this little journey. And then I was looking into the history of the area, and found poems. I've got this poem that was written by a shepherd from Munsley, we think in probably the mid 1800s, about this tiny little river called the River Mun. So I set that to music, and so it's just started growing. And then about this time last year, I rather amazingly got funding from the Arts Council. They gave me a grant in order to sort of continue my aunt's work about 100 years later and speak to the people that live here now and gather their sort of stories. And so through that, I then spent the last sort of 10 months speaking to people and was given poems again. So I've got several poems that I've put to music. And then I've written a few new songs using the stories that other people have told me. So I now have this massive, like 15, 16 song cycle, which just sort of covers all sorts of things. It's like just, I kind of think of it as a musical, you know how in village halls you get those tapestries on the wall about each village. Do you know what I mean? I've done a lot of rural touring, so I've played in a lot of village halls in my time, and they all have these things, and they're quite often a bit dusty, and they're made by some WI group. And I sort of think about what I've created as a sort of musical tapestry. So it's
That's
like
very cool.
Gathering the stories and just putting them into music and giving them, I don't know, just giving it a bit more meaning. You know, when you set something to music and you put it into something, it gives it a bit more weight. But mostly it was also to do with this idea that the voices, especially in Kit's journals, were of people that you would never have, they weren't recorded in history in any other way apart from, you know, birth, death certificates. So to have someone's words from, you know, this old boy, John Gray, who was the farmer, he one of the songs that he wrote his own verse to it, and that's in there as well. So it's like, it's just, you know, it was a beautiful thing, and it's just been really lovely project to get involved with, and I've met lots of new people through it, and it's been really beautiful. So I now just really enjoying performing the songs to anyone that I can bend their ear about it.
Well, the really nice thing,
for hours.
well, the really nice thing about the St Mary's Church gigs on the festival is that people can, if they're not coming to the rest of the festival, they can just pay £5 on the door, and it goes to the church. Oh, cool. And or they can come in with their festival wristband, depending on kind of, you know, what they want to do. And so you do get people who kind of, they're not sure they want to come to a whole music festival, but they want to dip in and they sort of feel the thing, so they pop along and sort of watch those two gigs, the one on the Saturday and one on the Sunday, and that works really nicely. It's a really interesting combination. But I must introduce, I'm going to have to introduce you to our next one of our next door neighbours here in Aylsham, because he was sent down the mines instead of into the armed forces during the Second World War. Wow. And because they was basically to keep the lights on and keep the country heated, and I hadn't really understood anything about, you know, kind of thing, but he's written the most amazing collection of poems and little stories, which are all about his time as you know, doing that. And it might be a really fascinating next project for you in terms of kind of finding something that's got real life, but also having, you know, it's ancient history as far as the youth of today is concerned, but, you know, sort of you know, he's still alive to be able to talk about it, and he's the most lovely old boy, and he'd be fascinating to kind of, it'd be lovely to see those amazing stories come alive in a way that they just won't do if something like that doesn't happen.
Yeah, when they're just on the page. I mean, it's wonderful these things are recorded, but sometimes it takes doing something creatively, artistically with it to get it to reach other people. Yeah. And people do seem to be interested. I mean, because this Poppy Land Songs is about a sort of 7 to 8 mile stretch of land right on the edge of a coast, you'd think maybe it would only appeal to people who live there, but actually the more people I speak to, it's just about people are interested in little slices of history. And North Norfolk has its own. Are you from Norfolk? Yeah. So it has its own like real kind of pull for people, especially up here in Cromer. There's a lot of the people I meet now who have retired here almost tell me the identical stories, that they came here on holiday when they were a child, not often from the Midlands. They've come over
they used to come for the factory, the
factory
fortnights.
Fortnights, and then they've always come back here and had this dream to live here. So it holds. I mean, I'm sure other places in the country are like that, but I'm so aware of it here, and people just want to know about these, the history of it. And I've never been actually that into history, as in it's not a passion of mine. It's sort of, I've fallen into it through music and through this project, and maybe just now that I'm in my 40s, it's something that you get more interested in.
Like, I think history is one of those things that's like, it's pretty turgid when you're being taught it in school, because you have to overanalyze stuff. But when it connects with something you're interested in, or something, I'm a traveler at heart, in terms of wanting just to see everywhere in the world I could possibly can. And history is fabulous for me because it connects with the places I'm traveling and why they're the way they are. But when I was learning history for GCSE, for O level, it was just like, oh my goodness, it's so boring. So there you go. But
no, I'm exactly the same.
Well, really lovely to speak to you, Bertie. Thank you so much, and we really look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time at Deepdale Festival. And if anybody is wanting to see her, she's on Sunday in St Mary's Church. Yes. And we're really looking forward to you. Thank you for chatting to me.
Thank you so much.
From Sheringham to Munsley, Poppyland runs beside the North Sea and calm rolling fields. Up here a lifeboat, villages quaint and little gems that remain concealed. Long walks on the beach and along the cliff top, through fields of poppies and corn. Dogs running ahead with a wave to a friend, past the church standing empty forlorn. The sound of the sea on clear starry nights, looking out of my window at the lighthouse lights. Cassiopeia and Orion turn above our heads. The chug of the tractor as the day begins, the cry of the gulls as the boats come in.
I'm chatting to the Smokin Pilchards. They are coming to the Deepdale Festival, like all the bands that I'm talking to at the moment, and they are playing on Saturday in the Brick Barn, which should suit their music and their band just fantastically. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining me.
Good evening.
Hiya.
So who have we've got 3 members of the band here, and we might get some others during the chat. Who have we got?
So I'm John. I play rhythm guitar and I sing.
I'm Ryan, I play bass.
I'm Chrissy, I do backing vocals.
Excellent. And I'm just sort of fascinated to know how bands have sort of survived over the last couple of years, and how the creative process has sort of taken them. So kind of which of you's the driver in terms of writing, and and how does then that kind of develop into an actual track that ends up either being performed live or recorded?
That's John.
Okay.
Very John.
It's not quite that simple, is it? But quite often I will come with an idea of a song and bring it to the table, and we'll meet up, and these guys will make it sound better.
That sounds good. That sounds like a really good way. Yeah, that's cool. And you're not all based in Cornwall, so some of you are up in the Midlands. So it is. I'm fascinated. Zoom has clearly been vital for a lot of musicians over the last few. Is that something you guys have kind of used for a long time, or has it been a slightly more sort of sending the old style tapes?
We did a little bit during sort of COVID times, didn't we? We kind of
We
exchange
don't use it that
ideas.
much though. We've had like I don't know, like band talks and stuff on it, and we did a Zoom music video.
We did a Zoom music video.
Yeah.
We recorded a couple of kind of demo tracks, I think, sending files back and forth and stuff like that. I think we all ended up with kind of bitty home studios and things, which was nice to work on bits.
Yeah, that's cool.
We
And is
kind
it
of
nice getting back into gigs? Are you kind of, you finding things returning to much to normal, or are you still sort of, is it still quieter than normal?
This year's felt the most normal summer, hasn't it? I think last year was a bit odd, doing sort of sit down gigs in pubs and things like that. That was quite strange.
Pubs with table service are a bit strange for us, and we're not used to seated gigs. We want people kind of dancing and about, or at the very least kind of drunken meandering, which we can interpret as positive dancing.
The first one we did after lockdown was so weird, where it was social distancing. It was
in Bristol.
It was Bristol, and I felt like I wasn't even sure if I could leave the stage or what we could do. So we're just all very nervous about getting told off, really.
We got there, didn't we? And it was like everyone like stayed at a table, and we were like, so do we stand on the stage until we're ready? Or
It's all very rock and roll. It was a bit strange.
A few friends went to kind of those ones where they kind of like had a box and a picnic bench sort of in the box, and you weren't allowed to go out of the box, and it was just all very odd. No, I'm glad that people were trying things, but it just we ran the festival last September, and so of course we'd missed 2020 and moved to 20 and did 2021, and we made the decision of you've got to be double vaccinated and that sort of stuff, and it just didn't know whether you were doing the right thing, the wrong thing. It just it was all very weird, but in the end the weather was beautiful and customers loved it, and and that was the Chris by Saturday evening was like, I've got to do this again next year. But like if I'd asked him on Thursday morning, that he was never doing it again. It was just so much stress building up to it, but it's really nice to sort of see bands sort of excited about doing it again. So we're really looking forward to having you guys with us. How did you hear about the festival? Did Chris approach you? Did he hear about you in Cornwall?
I'm trying to remember now. I think I heard about it through other musicians, and I think I applied through the page, and Chris sort of quite quickly got back to me and sort of said, I'm from Cornwall as well, or he lived in Cornwall, and was quite excited about us playing. And I think at the time there was a slot had come up last minute for last year, and we couldn't do it, but he said definitely next year, and we were really looking forward to it.
That's cool. It's funny. He's definitely. I remember they always used to describe people when I lived in South Africa who lived sort of partly in South Africa and partly in Britain, as a salty, which meant that basically your bits were hanging in the sea because you had one foot in each country. and I've always tried to work out what Chris is with one foot in Cornwall and one foot in Norfolk, and I don't know whether it's it's. Your bits would probably be dangling in sort of Reading somewhere, and I'm not quite sure that's got quite the same ring to it, really. But
there's a song for you, John, Salty Bits.
There's a little bit of a weird thing with Stourbridge where us and the drummer Tracy are based in Stourbridge and Falmouth, where John and Ed.
Their family. There's a lot of people who go to university in Falmouth and stay. There's a strange amount of people from Stourbridge or the Midlands in Falmouth. It's a very strange. I don't know if there's an easy road to get there. I don't know what it is.
Well, you've been on it, right?
Maybe the canals lead there.
I've been on that road too many times.
Maybe it's so difficult to get there that you just can't be bothered to leave.
That's probably.
I should add, we're all from Stourbridge originally. So me and Ed both moved down from the Midlands, and that's how we know each other as a band. It's how the band started, really, and we kind of continued, even though we were living in different places.
Excellent.
It's a family band with people tacked on.
That's cool. That's a good way of doing it. Just sort of
everyone's tacked on.
At least you know your place. That's good.
That's exactly it.
So thank you for chatting to me. It's fab to have you. We're really looking forward to seeing you at the festival. For anybody who's listening, they're playing on Saturday in the Brick Barn. It's going to be great to have them with us. Can I play one of your tracks? And which one would you like me to play?
We'd love you to play one of our tracks. Chrissy, choose a track.
Choose.
She picks the CD off the
That
back
one.
shelf,
That one.
highly organized.
Annie.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, thank you so much, guys, for talking to me. It's brilliant. And we'll see you in what's going to be a very short couple of weeks away, really. So it'd be great to see you.
Looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The unknown woman of the say, washed away hopes and dreams on what to gain. The feeling is such a sorry tale to follow, a sadness such a bitter pill to swallow. When they pulled her from the river, no signs of pain, no struggle, no strife. A young girl of no other, someone's sister, don't wanna love her, don't know her name, but they say suicide. Twisted suicide's to blame.
So I'm chatting with Neil from Pavey Ark, who are performing on the Orchard stage on Sunday at the Deepdale Festival. It is really fantastic to be welcoming them to Deepdale. Nice to speak to you, Neil.
Hi, mate. Nice to speak to you. Yeah.
And how's it all going? I think you've had some quite big gigs in the last little while, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a busy year and a quiet year all at the same time. So we had like a huge gig in June. We played on the acoustic stage at Glastonbury. So that was like a really big deal for us because we're still an unsigned band, so it's quite hard to get on that stage as an unsigned band. So and we kind of went for it. Played as a 12-piece band with and string. So there was lots of rehearsals ahead of that gig. But yeah, such an amazing experience. Yeah, and then it went a little bit quiet after that. People on holidays and stuff like that. But then we've just started recording. Started again recording the second album, and we've got like a little string of gigs coming up. Now we've got like a big folk festival at the weekend in Hull, and then we've got Deepdale 2 weeks after that. And there's another one which is completely slim in mind, but we have got a few coming up. Yeah,
that's cool. And how does the creative process work in your band? Are you the writer and arranger, or is it a collective, or how does it work?
I write all the songs myself, and sometimes a lot of stuff comes at the same time. Like sometimes I'll kind of put it to the band, and there's already some bass lines there, and there's already some kind of melodies. And sometimes a melody, I'm not sure if it's going to be a bass line or it's going to be one of the violin lines. But so just in the creative process, as I'm writing a song, sometimes lots of stuff comes at the same time, and I just kind of put it all down. And then other times the songs are a little bit more stripped back, and then the rest of the band flesh them out. Yeah.
And I'm guessing with a 12-piece band, you're not all living in one house, as a big collective. So lockdowns must have been quite interesting for your creative process.
Well, the 12-piece is a recent thing, really. So we've always, we started back in 2016, and there was just 3 of us. And then we were doing a BBC introducing session. And I was like, I'd really love to get some violins on this, some strings on this. So we kind of made some inquiries and found a couple of people who were they were at the whole uni, actually. They were students. Chris Heron came down, and that was our first ever gig. So Chris came and wrote some strings and came down to play this session. But it was just so nice that we've just not took our hooks out of him, so we've just kept him. So the strings are like a big part of the sound now. So Sometimes we play as a 5 where we've got 2 strings. Then it kind of, sometimes we played with a string quartet where, then there's like 7 people there. But then we started to introduce some brass into a few of the songs, and a few of the new songs we're recording have got the brass in. So we've got like 3 brass players, and sometimes, because they're all in other bands, you see, and they do other things, so you don't know who's going to be available. But obviously, sometimes they're all available. So when everyone's available, then it's a big band. When there's not many available, it's a 5-piece or a 7-piece. So it kind of fluctuates, I guess. But yeah,
fantastic. That's great. And when you were writing during lockdown, were you sort of like, you sending them info and then you were connecting on Zoom and stuff like that, or was it quite a quiet kind of creative process during that time?
It was a bit quiet, yeah. I did write quite a lot of new songs in that first lockdown, and I kind of just cobbled together a load of demos and I put them onto SoundCloud, and I shared them with the band and stuff. So like Chris, for instance, on the strings, and Vicky, who plays violin, they had a play around at home, and I did have like a little Zoom session with Chris, and we kind of had a chat, and it was kind of it's kind of a bit awkward to do over Zoom, so I tried it once with Chris, but it's just better to meet up really and do it. So it was creative in writing lots of new songs, but they remained as demos ready to be worked on at a later date, if that makes sense. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's really lovely to chat with you. We're really looking forward to seeing you at Deepdale Festival. I'm very honoured to have you on our Orchard stage. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And if I play a track of yours, what would you like me to play? Which one would you like me to play?
You could play. It'd be nice to play Wallflowers, which is the first track on our album. Quite representative of what we do. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting to me, and we'll see you in a couple of short weeks away.
Yeah. See you soon. Yeah. See you there.
Thanks, man. That was brilliant.
Sorry, I was waffling a bit, but
no, not at all. Not at all. It's great. That's the thing that like the customers really want to know about the bands and how they work, and that sort of stuff. That's the thing that really interests them. They love watching the bands as well, but this is kind of a bit of a background information, a bit about the thing. And I think it's fascinating how bands kind of grow and shrink and adjust and find their feet and stuff. And the fact that you've been on performing on a Glastonbury stage is just wonderful. I think it's just fabulous, and I hope it leads to wonderful things for you.
Well, I think it's looking like for the Deepdale we've got 2 of the horn players. So we've got trumpet and tenor sax, and I think we've got either 3 or 4 of the string players. I'm hoping it's 4 because then it's a quartet, but it might just be 3. But so it's like pretty much nearly the full month.
The full. That's fantastic. Really excited about that. So, but thank you so much.
And I will share it lots and lots. And I've been so.
Don't worry.
I've been so busy with a new job, and then straight after that we went on holiday. So it's like I will give it a good share in the next couple of
Well, I hope this weekend's festival goes brilliantly, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. See you there. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Cheers, Neil.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Like a beam, tick from my sheen, and space is this place we've been taking, and time just a line I've been tracing, but fate draws a line that escapes. escapes me.
Thanks again for listening, and hope you get a chance to listen to the other parts of this podcast. Day tickets are available for the Deepdale Festival from Thursday the 22nd to Sunday the 25th of September. You can buy tickets for all 4 days of the festival, Saturday and Sunday, or just Sunday. And all the details are online at deepdalefestival.co.uk. Hope you can come and join us.
Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, fistful of samphire, sea, lavender, sea.